On September 29, 2006, detectives entered St. Patrick's Church in Glasgow, Scotland, where they stumbled upon the lifeless body of a young woman. Little did they know, this gruesome discovery was merely the tip of a chilling iceberg, a crime that would unravel the trail of one of the most ruthless serial killers in British history. Peter Britton Tobin was born on August 27, 1946, in Johnstone, Scotland, the youngest of 8 children in the family of Marjorie and Neil Tobin. From an early age, Peter exhibited a troubling personality. At 7 years old, in 1953, his parents sent him to a boarding school, hoping to instill discipline. However, this proved futile, and he was later transferred to a reformatory, though the reasons remain unclear. After this turbulent period, he relocated to Brighton, England. There, he began a relationship with 17-year-old Margaret Mount, a typist captivated by his magnetic charm. They married in August 1969, but the union soon revealed Peter's cruel, controlling, and abusive nature. As if that weren't enough, he was entangled in criminal activities, and a year later was convicted and imprisoned in England for theft and forgery. Margaret divorced him in 1973. Undeterred, Peter married Sylvia Jeffries, a 30-year-old local nurse, that same year. Their first child, a son named Ian, was born soon after, followed by a daughter, Claire, who tragically died shortly after birth, allegedly a victim of Peter's violence. By 1976, Sylvia fled with their son, escaping his tyranny. A decade later, at around 40 years old, Peter sought a new romance, this time with 16-year-old Katie Wilson. Naive and impressionable, Katie fell under his spell. They moved in together, and their son, Daniel, was born. They married in 1989 and relocated to Scotland. However, Peter's abusive control intensified, forbidding Katie from leaving the house and subjecting her to severe violence. Eventually, she summoned the courage to flee with Daniel in the late 1990s. Whether Katie's departure triggered his darker impulses remains unknown, but it marked a turning point. Peter's malevolence fully emerged, and his path soon crossed with that of Vicky Hamilton, a bright young woman born in 1976 in Scotland. The second child of Michael and Janet Hamilton, Vicky grew up with siblings Rena, Lee, and Lindsay. Her parents' divorce forced her mother to move with Vicky, Lee, and Lindsay to South London, while Rena stayed in Bathgate. At 15, Vicky's sister Sharon encouraged her to embrace independence with a solo trip to Scotland. On Saturday, February 9, 1991, the sisters enjoyed a day of shopping and laughter. The following evening, nervous about her bus journey home, Vicky double-checked her fare money with Sharon. They hugged tightly before she stood at the bus stop, munching chips near a police station, unaware that her fate would soon intertwine with Peter's. With predatory intent, Peter forced Vicky into his car, raped her and, either to silence her or out of sheer malice, took her life. Her handbag remained in his possession. When Vicky failed to return home, her frantic family alerted the authorities. Her face became one of the most recognized in Scotland as a massive search ensued, one of the largest in the nation's history. Meanwhile, Peter fled to Margate, southeast England, settling in a picturesque house with a garden. There he wrapped Vicky's body in plastic, buried it under a concrete slab, and covered it with soil. Neighbors assumed he was building a sandbox for his 3-year-old son, Daniel, born in 1991. Unlinked to the initial investigation, Peter evaded suspicion. Police, finding no leads, speculated Vicky had run away, a theory bolstered when her wallet was discovered in Edinburgh on February 21, 1991, a false trail Peter had planted. The case stalled and Vicky's mother passed away soon after, leaving the family and community in anguish. Peter's next victim was Dina McNichol, an 18-year-old from Essex with a bright future. The daughter of a jazz musician and raised by her father after her mother's death in a car accident, Dinah had just finished school. She dreamed of a gap year or university, but awaited acceptance letters. In early August 1991, she attended a music festival in Hampshire, where she met David Tremlett. After a night in his tent, they parted ways on Monday, August 5th, planning to hitchhike home. Peter offered them a lift, and after David disembarked, Dinah was left alone with him. That day, Peter gagged her with a handkerchief, raped her, and killed her. He later withdrew money from her bank account, using ATMs in Kent and Sussex. Her family, knowing her frugal nature, grew alarmed. Weeks passed with no word, and they feared the worst. Peter moved to Hampshire by 1993, renting a flat in Lick Park. On August 4, 1993, two 14-year-old girls visited a neighbor, but finding her absent, knocked on Peter's door. He invited them in, exploiting their trust, possibly under the pretense of needing a babysitter for Daniel. Inside, he bound them, threatened them with a knife, forced them to drink alcohol, and beat and raped them. One girl was injured, and as they braced for death, Daniel's cries awoke him. To shield his son from the horror, Peter fled with the boy around 2:01 a.m., leaving the gas on to finish the job. The girls escaped, alerted police, and provided a detailed description. Peter returned Daniel to his mother and joined a religious sect, the Order of Jesus, under an alias, hoping to disappear. However, a BBC Crime Watch episode featuring his photo led to his identification. After 40 days on the run, he was arrested in Brighton and, on May 18, 1994, convicted of sexual assault and indecent acts, receiving a 14-year sentence. Released in 2004 at age 58, he returned to Scotland, evading his registered sex offender status. In 2006, under the alias Pat McLaughlin, Peter sought refuge at St. Patrick's Church in Glasgow, posing as a destitute handyman. His Catholic upbringing eased his integration, and his begging garnered sympathy, allowing him to move freely. His predatory nature soon resurfaced. That summer, 20-year-old Angelica Clack, a Polish student working as a cleaner at the church, caught his eye. On September 24, 2006, after helping him paint a shed, Peter attacked her in the chapel's rear, striking her unconscious, raping her, and stabbing her multiple times. He hid her body in the basement under the confessional floor. When Angelica vanished, parishioners grew suspicious. Dennis and Kathy Curran, a charitable couple, noted her absence, prompting a police investigation. Peter, the last seen with her, became the prime suspect, but fled to London before authorities could act. Detective David Swinney, leading the case, suspected foul play. On September 29, 2006, police found Angelica's body, shocking the nation due to the sacrilegious hiding place. Her injuries suggested a seasoned killer. DNA evidence matched Peter Tobin's profile in the national database, and his fingerprints sealed his identity. His photo was circulated nationwide. In London, he sought treatment at a hospital under the name James Kelly, feigning heart issues. A doctor and nurse, uneasy with his demeanor and recognizing his face from media alerts, contacted police. On September 30th, Officer Alan Muir arrested him for breaching sex offender registration terms, buying time for a stronger case. In March 2007, Peter was tried for Angelica's murder, denying rape but claiming consensual sex, a lie dismantled by evidence. After 6 weeks, he was convicted and sentenced to life with a minimum of 21 years. Convinced Peter's crimes ran deeper, Detective Swinney's team, under Operation Anagram, discreetly investigated his past. Searches of his former homes in Bathgate and Margate uncovered a knife with DNA, and in Margate's garden sandbox, the remains of Vicky Hamilton and Dina McNichol. Vicky's handbag, found at the scene, confirmed her identity, while Dina's DNA matched samples. On November 14, 2007, authorities announced the findings. In December 2008, Peter was convicted of Vicky's murder, and in December 2009, Dina's, receiving 2 more life sentences. His reign of terror ended, but the scars on his victims' families remain. What are your thoughts on this harrowing tale? Share below and consider subscribing for more stories.